Now, Lorena, we're going to be getting into a conversation about Disney's Reedy Creek, and we're going to be reading out of the Orlando Sentinel in just a moment. Have you been following along with the latest meetings and what was discovered in terms of Disney attorneys?
I have indeed. Have indeed.
Quite interesting, isn't it?
Very.
Some might
Very.
say revelatory and condemning. I love the ad that just popped up when I there you go, folks. It's 100% plant-based and an absorbent core. So if you've got Baby Yoda out there anywhere and he is soiling all sorts of things, skip the diapers. Go straight to whatever those hygiene products were that were visible. They might not. They might. By the way, for those of you who can't see right now, Culture Casino is in the back, and he is just shaking his head like, "What is this man on?"
Do you know something about Baby Yoda's storyline in the next season that we don't, bro?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say that I think it's going to have a better flow next season.
Oh.
All right, out of Lake Buena Vista, Disney's agreement seeking to preserve its power over development in Central Florida didn't follow requirements in state law. What? Rendering them null and void? What? Lawyers for Governor Ron DeSantis' Tourism Oversight Board said Wednesday. The bottom line is that Disney engaged in a caper worthy of Scrooge McDuck to try to evade Florida law, said David H. Thompson, a lawyer with Cooper and Kirk law firm. And by the way, folks, when it comes to law firms, I got to say, not many of them have cool names. Cooper and Kirk, that's a match made in heaven right there.
I love it.
After hearing legal presentations, the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District Board of Supervisors asked staff for a resolution they plan to consider on April 26th, voiding the agreements. That action could set off a legal dispute and open another front in DeSantis' battle with Disney that's generating national headlines. And by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. We'll pause here and talk about it real quick, but we actually had a pairing of two political personalities that you just don't ever see agree on anything. But in a twist that nobody saw coming all the way back from 2016, Hillary Clinton has voiced her support for the Walt Disney Company and against Ron DeSantis. And President Donald J. Trump has also voiced his support for Disney and against Ron DeSantis. How about that? Both of them defending poor little Disney. So let me hand it over to you guys real quick on the stuff that we've covered so far, and then we'll hit super chats and continue on this topic. Let me start with Valiant since he's short on time. He's at the office. He's doing that four-letter word that ends with K called work. Valiant, this seems to be going the way that we thought. This doesn't seem to be full of surprises. Are you personally just aghast that Disney perhaps didn't dot all their I's and cross their T's in this situation?
Yeah, I guess if we're referring to the fact that they felt like, well, we can just bypass, dropping written notifications to the United States Postal Service to the 20 double wides that we own and put the people in there for with our fake residents in Buena Vista and Bay Lake. They felt like they could just skip that because, again, they're just like Reedy Creek. They're an extension of Disney. There is no difference between the two. So I guess they felt like that wasn't going to be a big issue, but they left the door open. And then, of course, the second issue it became obvious that Disney Corporate is the one who wrote everything for Reedy Creek. It's not just this most recent thing they got caught on. It's been going on for decades. The reason I know this, the reason we know this, we've talked about this in my channel, Legal Mindset. Andrew Esquire has sat across the litigation table from Reedy Creek in years past when he was practicing in Florida as an attorney representing special taxing districts. And he told me a year ago when he first got on my channel, he said there were many times that when we were in correspondence with the legal department of Reedy Creek, that certain senior C-suite Disney executives were openly CC'd on all the correspondence and email back and forth during litigation. So, I mean, Disney has not really hidden it over the years because they felt like nobody's ever going to do anything. That's the level of arrogance that they were dealing with when litigating against Disney and Reedy Creek. So this does not shock me at all. Again, it's just gotten to the point now where the state of Florida, the governor, the legislature, Disney handed them the political willpower to finally say, okay, had enough of you. You know, you're going to play by the same rules as everybody else. And at the end of the day, there is nothing Disney can do. There is no shenanigan they can pull that is going to override the will of the voters of Florida and their duly appointed representatives elected to the Florida state legislature. That is it. All the legislature has to do is not do nothing. I mean, if they just let Reedy Creek have their way, Disney have their way, then they'll win. But all the legislature has to go is squish like an ant, and that's over.
All right, panel. Who else has got some thoughts on this one? In particular, we've seen lots of people thinking that Disney's attorneys and their legal team are just above reproach. They're so smart. They're so perfect. Surely Florida stood no chance against Disney's acumen. Doesn't seem to be the case.
No, and I'm going to come to it from this perspective. Of course, you see my tag down there, Floridian roots since 1565. Let's remember when Disney, yes, indeed. My family has been here for centuries from all over the globe. And I think the press seems to forget one thing. Floridians aren't exactly in love with Disney. Now, we do remember when Disney came on the scene in, the Orlando area. That was all built on a lie. They created shell corporations, and Culture will back me up on this because we've talked about this on our show. They set up pseudo cities, pseudo corporations to look for land, and no one could figure out who these people were until one bright female reporter from the Orlando Sentinel, aka what I call the digital fish wrap newspaper of Orlando, figured out that it was Disney. And they finally had to come out and say that it was them.
As a volunteer sheriff, I can look up anyone's psychiatric records or surgical histories.
And since then, Orlando was privy to, traffic congestion, higher property taxes, and the entire like. So Disney has done a very good PR job in making the world think that Florida loves them. Floridians love them, right? No.
Absolutely. They're just so beloved. They make all the right decisions. They never step in anything spicy. They're right up there with Universal Studios, why is it that Universal has none of these issues? Culture, do you got any thoughts on what an interesting thing this is where other companies made none of the decisions Disney has and they have no issues right now?
Yeah, again, I mean, it comes down to some political conversation we could certainly have, and a particular leaning or a desire to follow a certain investment path. But ultimately, the decision-making process here to weigh in on politics was probably the biggest folly anyone could have undertaken, especially in a state that now leans 70% to one side that you are trying to go up against. That it seems like a lot of coming to loggerheads with a state entity that not only controls the legislature but also controls the administrative office of Governor DeSantis. I would say that was picking a fight with a bully that you could not possibly hope to win against. Again, maybe Chapek was the one to, say the wrong thing way back when, but he was led there by all of the sycophants and everything that were left behind by Iger version 1.0. And now version 2.0 is exacerbating the situation.
Absolutely. Now, we're about to get to some super chats, folks, and we're going to continue on with this topic. I do want to bring in some more of our panelists, though. First of all, I want to bring in a fan favorite here on the channel, Views with Hughes. Come on in, and Views with Hughes is going to be talking about some news today. Hughes, what are you thinking about this whole Disney situation down in Florida?
First off, I'm a fan favorite.
Of course you are. Well, at least of all the fans who are on here.
You should see the stories they're writing about us, Hughes.
Like the kids say, that's cap. But nah, what I gotta say about this whole Disney thing is, I'm gonna take it biblical. You reap what you sow. And it's like they want to go ahead and finesse the finesser. Guess what? The finesser came back to finesse them right back, just like they tried to use with the whole royalty family tree lineage kind of thing and all of that, and as they was to go ahead and get the power back. But the thing is, the state always going to have that power. Like Lorena Creel said before, Disney stole that land. And also with what I've heard and all that, and I didn't really hear much, but it's like the oversight board, they said to exert the control and stuff by firing the planning and zoning board. Okay, so my thing is, they didn't give any of the property owners any notice about the change and all of that, and it's like now they stuck their foot in their mouth.
Indeed, they have in their little mouse mouths out there. All right, let's bring on somebody who does not have a mouse mouth. That being someone that many of you are familiar with, Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge. Welcome aboard. Tom, you got any thoughts on the Disney situation so far?
I've seen enough Yellowstone to know this ain't gonna work out well for Disney.
Well said.
They're gonna blow up Seven Seas Lagoon just to keep
Yeah, you
them
don't
from
mess
getting
with
their
the
hands on it.
governor. You don't mess with,
Now, Stephen, let me show you this real quick. I find this to be interesting. This out of Mickey Views, which is Mickey Views is sometimes more commonly known as Braden of Mickey Views, but he actually went over to this meeting they had earlier this week and grabbed some footage. We're not going to play it, but folks, you can go check it out later. But Central Florida Tourism Oversight District Legal Counsel and D.C. trial attorney David H. Thompson revealed emails between Disney lawyers over optics concerns and argued the developer agreement is unconstitutional. Of course, he's wanting people to go check out his video, and you definitely should. After we conclude this, we'll put the link in there. But needless to say, there's an issue here in that Disney lawyers apparently were drafting the and I'll show you this. I apologize. I didn't get that to pop up. But the Disney lawyers actually were drafting. There's what you need to see. But they were drafting the Reedy Creek documents rather than Reedy Creek individuals. For those of you who don't know, Reedy Creek is the special district that was supposed to be totally separate from Disney, supposed to be its own governmental special power. And yet it now appears that Disney attorneys were writing their documents and then having their names removed from the documents later with Reedy Creek personnel putting their stuff on there. So they were actually sourced and originated apparently out of Disney. How about that?
I have a question.
Shame, right, everybody?
You don't say.
I have a question. At what
Go for it,
point
Stephen.
does Disney realize that their stupidity is outweighing the amount of money they're making out their movies?
Well, they seem not to have figured that out. I have compared them to being like the Titanic, looking at the iceberg and saying, you know what? Full steam ahead. Let's see if we can smash that sucker.
I see them more as like the emperor has no clothes. They think that, they can just strut around and no one's going to call them out or no one's going to catch on.
Oh, man. I used to think that story was so silly when I was a little kid, thinking that everyone could be caught up in a lie, that no one wants to be the one to tell the truth. And it's quickly becoming the most true story of the modern era.
There's a lot of truth to that, but I'm going to go with what Pro's analogy was and just go one step further. The boat's already hit the iceberg, kids, and the band is playing it on the way down. I'm just saying.
I was about to put that.
We're going to have to ease up on the gas at some point now.
I don't know. It seems to be sinking.
I love it.
Haven't you seen Speed? We speed it up and we can jump it.
Keep going. Just keep going.
Yes, go faster.
How can there be no one in this corporation that is like going, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right? And
We own Speed now, right? So this will work.
they don't look at their old properties. They just rehash it with cardboard cutouts.
I mean,
No.
if you say something, I won't say this is for everyone. Well, let's just say there's some people, there's some whistleblowers. If you dare point out the Emperor Mickey has no clothes, you get gone.
Yep. Yeah, like the other 7,000 people this week.
Oh, that's painful to think about.
Can we add a quiet moment of silence for BuzzFeed as well? God rest their soul.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that was a long time coming though. Like that was a long time coming. It's like you keep putting a lot of political ideology and a lot of stuff, and then criticize the fans who have an issue with it. they're going to vote with their wallets and purses and stuff and move on to something bigger and better.
Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
They should have updated their resumes as well as try to start a Substack a long time ago and all that. And it's like, it's too late now.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
The board's lawyers said that the previous Disney-friendly Reedy Creek board failed to properly notify affected property owners by mail of the development agreement. That's one of the 3 steps required to make changes to a special district in Florida. And it's no surprise that Disney forgot to send themselves the mail. They probably didn't want to do that because they would be the only recipients of the mail, thus revealing that. Although the agreements were publicly advertised and approved in public meetings, no record was found of those notices being mailed, they said. Disney's efforts are riddled with illegality and they will not withstand judicial scrutiny, Thompson said. Lawyers detailed what they considered to be other problems, such as unconstitutional, one-sided contractual terms that sought to confer governmental powers to a private business. I can tell you that I've never seen a more blatant and hostile attempt on a scale like this to openly thwart the law, said Alan Lawson, a lawyer working for the new board and a former state Supreme Court justice. They also highlighted the role Disney had in the legal affairs of the Reedy Creek District, flashing an email on a screen they said was from Disney World's chief counsel, right? Not just a podunk nobody on this team, not just some sort of person just barely out of the bar, but rather this is the chief counsel for Disney World, the big kahuna, John McGowan. The Disney lawyer wrote that he was listed as the drafter of the Reedy Creek legal documents, but it would be better from an optics perspective to have a non-Disney employee listed, according to the email. Whoops! Didn't mean to have that come out. That's a huge deal, by the way, folks. So it's a major thing.